The rise of a dragon. China's economic transformation. China's economic ascent has been remarkable. Once grappling with poverty, China is now a global superpower. Its industries produce everything from smartphones to solar panels. Cities boast gleaming skyscrapers and bustling hubs. China's rise has reshaped the global economy but sparked controversy. Critics argue China's success comes at the expense of fair trade. Its currency policies have drawn global scrutiny. Accusations of currency manipulation persist. Critics say this floods markets with cheap goods. The impact extends beyond trade figures. It has fueled geopolitical tensions and trade wars. Understanding China's rise is crucial for the global economy. A history of currency manipulation, undervaluing the yuan. China's currency management has long been contentious in international circles. Critics accuse China of undervaluing the yuan to boost exports and make imports expensive. This, they argue, gives China an edge in global trade, amassing trade surpluses and foreign reserves. The principle is simple: intervene in markets to suppress currency value. This makes exports cheaper and imports more expensive. China has been accused of pegging the yuan to the US dollar and buying foreign currencies to depress its value. Critics argue these actions impact global trade, causing imbalances and tensions. China enters the world stage, the promise and peril of WTO accession. China's entry into the World Trade Organization in 2001 marked a pivotal moment in its economic history. WTO membership promised to integrate China more fully into the global trading system, granting it access to new markets and subjecting it to international trade rules. Proponents of China's accession argued that it would usher in an era of greater economic openness and liberalization, benefiting both China and the global economy. However, China's entry into the WTO also sparked anxieties about the potential consequences of its economic practices. Critics warned that China's history of currency manipulation and other unfair trade practices could give it an unfair advantage within the WTO framework, allowing it to flood global markets with cheap goods and undermine industries in developed countries. Despite these concerns, the prevailing view at the time was that bringing China into the WTO was a risk worth taking. The hope was that WTO membership would encourage China to play by the rules of the global trading system, promoting economic liberalization and fostering a more stable and prosperous world order. The Clinton administration's gamble opening the doors to China. The decision to support China's WTO accession was heavily influenced by the United States, particularly the Clinton administration. President Bill Clinton and his advisors believed that engaging China economically was the best way to encourage political and economic reforms within the country. They argued that WTO membership would bind China to international trade rules, promoting transparency and accountability in its economic practices. The Clinton administration's approach to China was rooted in the belief that economic interdependence would foster closer ties between the two countries, reducing the likelihood of conflict and promoting cooperation on global issues. By granting China permanent normal trade relations status, a prerequisite for WTO membership, the U.S. paved the way for China's integration into the global trading system. However, the Clinton administration's gamble on China has been the subject of intense debate ever since. Critics argue that China has not lived up to its WTO commitments, continuing to engage in currency manipulation and other unfair trade practices. They contend that China's economic rise has come at the expense of American jobs and industries, contributing to trade deficits and economic anxieties in the United States. Section 5. A legacy of distrust, accusations of unfair trade practices. Despite its WTO membership, China continues to face accusations of engaging in unfair trade practices. Critics point to its persistent trade surplus, its history of currency manipulation, and its alleged theft of intellectual property as evidence that China is not playing by the rules of the global trading system. One of the most common accusations leveled against China is that it engages in dumping selling goods in foreign markets at prices below their production cost. This practice, critics argue, is designed to undercut competitors and gain market share, often with the support of government subsidies and other forms of state intervention. China has also been accused of erecting non-tariff barriers to trade, such as complex regulations and bureaucratic hurdles that make it difficult for foreign companies to compete in its domestic market. These practices, critics argue, have created an uneven playing field, benefiting Chinese companies at the expense of foreign competitors. Section 6. Currency manipulation in the 21st century. New tactics, same goal. While China has allowed its currency to appreciate somewhat in recent years, accusations of currency manipulation persist. Critics argue that China has simply shifted its tactics, employing more subtle and sophisticated methods to manage the yuan's value. Instead of directly pegging the yuan to the US dollar, China now manages its currency against a basket of currencies, allowing for greater flexibility while still maintaining a degree of control. Critics argue that China continues to intervene in foreign exchange markets, buying up foreign currencies to suppress the yuan's value and maintain its export competitiveness. Furthermore, China has been accused of using its vast foreign currency reserves, accumulated through years of trade surpluses, to influence currency markets and achieve its economic objectives. By strategically buying and selling foreign assets, China can indirectly influence the yuan's value and manage its exchange rate. Section 7. The global fallout, trade wars, and economic upheaval. China's economic practices have had far-reaching consequences, contributing to trade tensions, fueling protectionist sentiment, and raising concerns about the stability of the global economic order. The United States, under both the Trump and Biden administrations, has imposed tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods in an attempt to pressure China to change its ways. These trade disputes have disrupted global supply chains, increased costs for businesses and consumers, and contributed to economic uncertainty. The tariffs have also failed to achieve their stated objective of reducing the U.S. trade deficit with China, as Chinese exporters have found ways to circumvent the tariffs or pass on the costs to American importers. Beyond the immediate economic impact, the trade war has strained relations between the United States and China, fueling mistrust and undermining cooperation on other global challenges such as climate change and nuclear proliferation. The trade war has also exposed the limitations of the existing global trading system, which has proven ill-equipped to address the challenges posed by China's economic rise. Section 8. A New World Order, Navigating the Challenges of China's Rise. China's economic rise has fundamentally altered the global balance of power, challenging the long-standing dominance of the United States and forcing a reassessment of the rules and norms governing the international economic order. The world is grappling with how to accommodate a more assertive and influential China while safeguarding the interests of other countries. One of the key challenges is finding ways to address the concerns about China's economic practices without resorting to protectionism or triggering a full-blown trade war. This will require a combination of diplomacy, economic statecraft, and a willingness to reform the global trading system to make it fairer and more equitable. Another challenge is managing the geopolitical implications of China's rise. As China's economic might grows, so too does its military power and its influence on the world stage. The United States and its allies are grappling with how to deter Chinese aggression while seeking areas of cooperation on shared challenges. Section 9. The Future of U.S.-China Trade, a Relationship in Crisis. The future of U.S.-China trade relations remains uncertain. The Biden administration has maintained many of the tariffs imposed by the Trump administration while also pursuing diplomatic engagement with China. However, deep mistrust and fundamental disagreements over trade, technology, and human rights continue to cast a shadow over the relationship. The U.S. and China are locked in a strategic competition that extends far beyond trade. Both countries see themselves as leading powers with competing visions for the future of the global order. This competition is likely to shape the economic and geopolitical landscape for decades to come. Finding a way to manage this competition peacefully and productively will be one of the defining challenges of the 21st century. It will require both sides to exercise restraint, seek common ground, and find ways to cooperate on shared challenges even as they compete in other areas.